Bruno Guimaraes wants Arsenal, ladies and gentlemen. Ornstein Bomba, Bruno G wants the Arsenal move. Available for £60 million. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another pre-recorded video. We're here to actually talk about Arsenal this time. As you guys know, we're going to report on all the big news for all the clubs. Do make sure, guys, check out our sponsor, OK Jersey. Use code MHF for 8% off your next purchase. That's where I got this shirt from. And, you know, all the other national team shirts and Liverpool shirts and whatnot that I wear on the stream. Now, let me just show you the news, first of all, by Ornstein. Exclusive, Bruno Guimaraes informs Newcastle United of his wish to leave and join Arsenal. Arsenal are stepping up their pursuit, plus ready to offer deal worth up to £60 million at present. But no club-to-club contact yet. Plus, Newcastle stands still not entertaining bids for the 28-year-old. Now, let's first of all start off with Newcastle. As someone who's experienced with Newcastle, trust me, Arsenal fans, let me prepare you for mental warfare with these Newcastle journalists. Same thing they said about Isak. He's not for sale. The club says he's not for sale. The club says that no matter what, we won't sell him. Blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, if the player wants to leave and he wants to go to Arsenal, and Arsenal are offering the money, you know, that Newcastle would accept, then eventually they are going to let him go and he's going to join Arsenal. Now, first of all, let's start off by talking about the move. I think this is an absolutely fantastic move by Arsenal Football Club. I think this is exactly what the doctor ordered for the midfield positions. Now, I know Odegaard, Eze, and multiple players have come under criticism, but for me, I think that those two tens together are good enough tens for Arsenal to retain the league, even though they're looking at Morgan Rogers, but we'll leave that for a different video. Now, in terms of the pivot players, Martin Zubimendi, and I'm not saying this in any agenda based, you guys know this. At the start of the season, he was performing at a really high level, and he kind of had a drop off in the second half of the season, which allowed Miles Lewis-Skelly to be added to the team again as a double pivot, as a DM pivot player. And of course, he had absolutely incredible performances. I actually thought Lewis-Skelly was probably Arsenal's best player in the Champions League final. So obviously, I think that he's had a fantastic performance for Arsenal multiple times this season. However, Martin Zubimendi's drop-off and the fact that Arsenal could possibly get rid of Norgard is the reason why they're looking at Bruno Guimaraes. Now, let's look at things from Arsenal perspective. Arsenal are a stable club that are Premier League champions, that are the only team in the traditional Big Six clubs who haven't changed their manager. My club, Liverpool Football Club, Slot has been sacked, thank God, but Iraola has been hired, never managed at this level before, never managed Champions League football. Tottenham Hotspur, Roberto De Zerbi, they're doing a madness in the transfer window. However, they are still Spurs, so let's not talk about them seriously. Chelsea hired Xabi Alonso. At least looks like they're headed in the right direction, but still they're Chelsea. Like, you know, they have one good season, one bad season, one good season, one bad season. They're not stable enough for a title race. Manchester United, these players that they have are unproven in you know, 2 games a week scenarios, and they've got Michael Carrick in charge. Manchester City, of course, can challenge Arsenal, but they've got Enzo Maresca, who also is not proven at the top level because he managed Chelsea, with all due respect, in the Conference League. So now this leads us all the way back to Arsenal. Mikel Arteta is the manager. He is not sacked. Stable manager situation. The spine will all be there. Raya, Saliba, Gabriel, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka. The spine of the team is the same exact thing. Arsenal are not changing their spine here. It's not like Saliba's going or Gabriel is going and they're replacing with a new centre-back to be that new spine for Arsenal. No. The one that Arsenal are replacing are the players that either weren't good enough or the players that are bench players, like your Norgards, like your Martinelli, Trossard, whoever it is, players that weren't at that level. Now, Bruno Guimaraes comes in from this perspective. Declan Rice has played a gazillion minutes. If you're playing Coventry City at home, you could do Bruno Guimaraes, Miles Lewis-Skelly double pivot, and you could still beat Coventry City at home. If you're playing whatever other promoted club, or you're playing a Brighton at home, or you're playing a team that's mid-table team, you know, something like that, you can rotate between Bruno Guimaraes and Declan Rice alongside the Lewis-Skelly and still win the game. You can rotate between Bruno G and Declan Rice and Zubimendi and probably still win the game. And when you go away to Anfield, you go away to the Etihad, you go away to Old Trafford, whatever difficult stadium, you know, Stamford Bridge, whatever it is, you can go with Bruno Guimaraes and Declan Rice, and you can have that shield right in front of your back four, and you can absolutely stop the opposition from scoring. And you've got Bruno Guimaraes, who can also help lead counterattacks, and also, as we saw with Brazil, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he got 4 assists for Brazil at the World Cup. So yeah, I know he missed the penalty, obviously, against Norway, so that's not an ideal situation. However, I'm not going to sit up here and claim that he's had a bad World Cup because he missed the penalty. He won't take penalties at Arsenal anyway. So I think overall, I've covered all the World Cup games almost, and he's had a fantastic World Cup. So I think he brings that element of experience. And he's already a captain. He's already a leader. He's already someone who leads his teammates. He's already someone who leads his team. So you bring in that extra leadership ability at Arsenal as well, which is also something that any club would want. Bruno Guimaraes can come in, play Champions League football because he's played it at Newcastle, obviously. World Cup, Brazil, national team, starter for Carlo Ancelotti. Premier League experience, wouldn't need to settle in. Already, could easily get used to the Arteta style if you would like, that kind of that system where he plays in that double pivot area. He could easily get used to that. He could bombard forward when need be. He could be defensive when need be. He could be the defensive guy next to Lewis Skelly and then allow Lewis Skelly to pass the ball around. He could be, the defensive guy next to Declan Rice and allow Declan Rice to maraud forward, or he could even do the forward stuff. Maybe one day Declan Rice will play DM and Bruno Guimaraes will be the guy going forward. So I think these are intelligent signings from Arsenal because, in my opinion, I think Arsenal have got the easiest chance at the back-to-back we've seen for a really long time. And I'm not saying this to apply more pressure or to do the underdog. You guys know me already. I say what I honestly believe. And I think Arsenal have the chance to go back-to-back again. And signings like this will make going back-to-back easier because you're bringing in Premier League experienced players. You're bringing in players who are used to this, Bruno Guimaraes doesn't need to adjust to the Premier League. He doesn't need to adjust to the language. He doesn't need to adjust to the surroundings. He's already played at Anfield. He's already played away at Man City. He's already played against Chelsea. He's already played all these places. So he knows the league. And he knows the competitiveness of the league, and he joins the team. And once again, this is exactly what happened to us last summer when Wirtz chose us over Manchester City and Bayern, when Isak chose us over the other clubs, when Kirkus chose us over the other clubs. Forget how they've turned out now, but this happened to us because we were the stable club. We were the club that players wanted to join. Obviously, we know how that ended, but I'm using Arsenal as an example in terms of Arsenal are the stable club in the Premier League right now. The only top 6 team without a managerial change, current reigning Premier League champions. The whole spine is stuck together. The whole spine, none of them are 34, 35, 36, towards the end of their careers, if you would like. They're all in their prime ages, some even before their prime. So I think Bruno Guimaraes comes into the perfect situation, and it's also a perfect situation for Arsenal in terms of his age, because the guy is 28, gonna turn 29. So with all due respect, he's not like some 21-year-old kid that needs time to adjust. And, he might have 5-6 bad games in a row because he lacks experience or any of this stuff. He comes into something that is stable. He comes into something that is ready. He comes into something that is already ready-made. And I think this is something that suits Bruno Guimaraes as an individual, and it suits Arsenal Football Club in terms of the individual that they purchased. So these are my thoughts on the Bruno Guimaraes to Arsenal thing. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at DonHussam6. Add me on Snapchat at HussamLFC. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, OK Jersey. Use code MHF for 8% off on your next purchase. Love you all, and I'll see you guys later, inshallah. Peace out, Habibis.